Deezer's lemonade is filled with goodness. 4 special ingredients made from non-irradiated environments for your pleasure. If you haven't heard of Deezer's lemonade, it's a lemonade crafted by a Mr. Handy robot named Deezer in the Fallout universe. Deezer claims it's made with less mutfruit and it's not as irradiated, but all the characters in the game kind of say something tastes off about it. And the liquid is extremely golden, a little bit too golden, leading to a lot of speculation what the secret ingredient here is. Now, I'm not going to literally piss in anyone's drink, but I do have a very special ingredient that we're gonna use in this drink. Check it out. I literally have urine candy, obviously, not the real stuff. I wanna say I paid $7 for this little cup of sour urine because I thought it was so funny, and then I realized I don't wanna pay $7 every time I wanna make a drink. So before we get started on making this cocktail, I'm gonna teach you guys how to make urine syrup. So let's do it. The first thing you're gonna need, obviously, is a pan to get nice and hot and cook everything in. Then we'll just need sugar, a lemon, and citric acid. So let's do it. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bring half a cup of water to a boil. Now, obviously, if you wanna make more or less of this recipe, you just double it, triple it, divide it, whatever you have to do. It's a very straightforward recipe. After we do that, we're gonna add half a cup of granulated sugar. I'm using cane sugar, but use whatever you have on hand. Dump that in. Before we bring this to a boil, I almost forgot what's gonna make this sour, the citric acid. I'm gonna start with a whole teaspoon, but if you don't like sour stuff, maybe tone it down a little bit. All right, let's stir this. Try and dissolve it. It's not especially hot right now, so it's not gonna work as well, but as soon as it's boiling, this should be easy. The citric acid, the sugar, it's completely dissolved. We're gonna bring this down to a very low boil, and now it's time for the next ingredient. We are going to add in zest from half of the lemon. Now, when you're zesting a lemon, you wanna be really careful not to get the white pith in there. It's gonna make it very bitter. And we want it sour, we do not want it bitter. So let's do that. It's very easy to go overboard if you're not paying attention here, guys. Now, time for the next ingredient here. We are going to juice half of a lemon. Now we'll give this a good stir again, and we're gonna let this hang out for another 2 to 3 minutes. So this has been hanging out a few minutes. Now there is one final thing to do here, guys. We are going to add a little bit of yellow food dye because we want that bright yellow, you know, kind of interesting color to it, and this is the best way to get it. Final thing to do is to slowly, and I mean slowly because this is hot, you don't want this to bubble over, we're going to slowly double strain this into a nice bottle. Oh, and here I was thinking we weren't gonna make a mess today. Honestly, the 2 drops, I'm not gonna call that a mess. I'm gonna call that a win. All right, time to clean up and let's go on to the next step of making this wonderful drink. All right, so we have the syrup chilled. We are ready to move on and create Deezer's lemonade. So the first ingredient, I feel like a spiced rum in a lemonade hasn't really been done. I don't know why. I think it's a great ingredient and we're gonna do it. So let's start off with 2 ounces of spiced rum. Now, my next thought was it's lemonade. I gotta use water, but now the question is how much water to use. I'm thinking 3 ounces should be a nice sweet spot. I'm not gonna over dilute the cocktail, but I'm also not going to, you know, totally ruin it. I still want that taste of spiced rum in there, believe it or not. Next up, we are doing 3 dashes of orange bitters. And finally, we are going to do a ½ ounce of Deezer's syrup. Now, before we move on, here's kind of where I had a dilemma, guys. It's really confusing. Deezer's lemonade says now with less mutfruit, now with less irradiated ingredients. So therefore, by that logic, there shouldn't be mutfruit in here. Now, mutfruit would give it like a blueberry, blackberry flavor, according to like my head canon, not the real canon by any means. But I couldn't figure out a way to do that while still keeping this bright yellow and while still really fitting as a lemonade. So I kind of decided we're just gonna drop the mutfruit. Even Deezer himself has dropped the mutfruit. He's saying there's no irradiating ingredients. I think even by following the canon, it is perfectly fine to end the drink without any mutfruit or mutfruit substitute. So here we go. Let's crack some ice and stir this bad boy up. And if we're being really, really specific, we're gonna give it about 60 stirs. All right, so the way I'm thinking of this lemonade is kind of like a tiki cocktail. So I think it's very fitting to fill up our little tin can here with crushed ice. Now we pour. Let's toss on a beautiful lemon wedge. And there you have it. This is Deezer's lemonade. Cheers. It's really good. I mean, it's simple. Don't get me wrong. It's just water, a little bit of orange. So you get the spiced rum flavor. It's not overwhelming. This isn't a boozy forward drink, at least not in my opinion, but it is really good and it's really refreshing. It's nothing crazy though. All I did was take a sour lemon base, add some spiced rum for a little bit of kick to it, and then we just had fun with orange bitters and water. So really simple, but you get that not quite irradiated vibe, but you get like a funky vibe to lemonade, all without Deezer's special little ingredient here. So I think Deezer himself would be very pleased, even though I did leave out his favorite special ingredient. What are you doing in there? I'm just hanging around. You better cut that. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what else I should make from the Fallout universe. Cheers.